This is going to be a bit of a rant, so if you're coming to the channel hoping a video that's got the snappy editing, the nice visuals and all of that kind of stuff, this won't be the video for you. However, what I do want to do, very quickly, is talk/rant about the conversation that really dominates the fandom, the Star Trek fandom, but most fandoms in 2022, and it has done for the last few years, and that is wokeness in Star Trek. And I'm just really tired of seeing this. I know that whatever I'm gonna say here is going to be, I don't know, misinterpreted. Hopefully not misinterpreted, because I'm going to be very, very clear here. But it's going to be taken, it's going to be ignored. By no means do I think, by making a video and ranting about this, that it's going to solve the issues and repair the divide that's, you know, we live in fractured times, not only with our fandoms, but across the board, really. But woke in Star Trek, what does woke mean? Now, woke has become this term to define social justice, right? To define modern progressive attitudes and behaviours. And there are people that are fighting the cause, fighting for social justice, and there are people who oppose that. I don't think a lot of people actually oppose progressive changes to society. But if you do, then that's your right. I think we just need to have more conversations with each other and try to understand one another, because I don't think any rational human would want to actually discriminate against people and tell people that they don't matter and tell people that they can't contribute or be part of society. And if that's truly how you feel, then you probably need to go and sit down and talk to someone, because there's probably some unresolved things that you need to process. This video, this rant, whatever it is, it's not meant to attack anyone. It's not meant to... I'm not here to shout and point accusational fingers. I just want to get this off my chest, because I'm just kind of tired of seeing this. Whenever I put a video out, because I've been covering Picard, I will be covering Strange New Worlds, I've covered Discovery, you know, these are the productions, these are the Star Trek productions that are currently going out, airing every single week. I'm going to cover them. It's Star Trek. It is Star Trek. And I have always, my whole approach with Star Trek, with the Trek Lad, has always to be as fair and as balanced as possible. I lay my cards on the table. You know how I feel about things. I'm not the biggest Discovery fan. I think if you compare Discovery versus Discovery, you can see where it's improved, but Discovery is never going to be my favourite show. It never is. My favourite Star Trek is the Star Trek of old, and I've made that very clear. However, I go into things trying to be as rational and balanced as possible, and that's always been the mission of Treklad. I mean, the real mission, at the core of everything, is just to have a good time, have a laugh, and meet some new friends and do things like that. Before I get into this, thank you so much to everybody who's left lovely messages since I came back. It's been about a month since I've been back on YouTube making content, and I've absolutely loved it. I had a fear when I first started that I would have lost the video editing skills that I'd spent the last 2 years building up, and because I hadn't done anything for 10 months, I was like, am I going to be able to do it? Yeah, it turns out I can, and I've tried to make my scripts a bit tighter, and I've tried to kind of grow into it, and it's been a really fun process. It's been wonderful being back, and I'm really enjoying watching Picard, and I'm really looking forward to Strange New Worlds when it lands in about a month, and I'll have far more to say about that nearer the time. So to anyone that's left a comment, anyone that's subbed since I've been back, thank you so much. I really missed this. I took some time because 9 months ago we welcomed our first child, and he's been a handful, but it's been such a wonderful time. And I took the time to recharge some batteries, and I'm really glad that I'm back and I'm having so much fun. I'm having more fun than I'm having frustrations with what I'm about to talk to, don't get me wrong, but whenever I make a new video for Picard or for Discovery or for Strange New Worlds and I get comments like, this is woke garbage, this is trash, this is just rubbish. I got a comment earlier, and I'm going to blur the names out because I don't want to instigate fights. I don't want you to go after people. That's not what this is all about. But what I want to do is I want to go through this comment, and I just want to kind of break it down because I want to understand it. I want to understand it because it doesn't really make sense to me. And here's the comment. Star Trek is woke. Soon they'll be broke. And I will never have wasted a single dime on it. LOL. Now, the whole Star Trek is woke, soon they'll be broke thing is just... I mean, you hear it all the time, and it comes from a certain set of fans who have made probably quite a lot of money ripping Star Trek to shreds, quote unquote, and in reveling in its apparent demise and all of that kind of stuff. Those guys on one side, and on the other side you've got a bunch of people that will call you racist and ableist if you tell them that you didn't like Star Trek Discovery because you thought Michael Burnham cried too much. I tend to put myself in the middle of all this, really. Modern Star Trek isn't my favourite, although I have to admit I'm very, very excited about Strange New Worlds, and I do acknowledge that Star Trek Discovery and Picard have improved. They're not perfect, but they are improving. I just want to see Star Trek. I just want to have fun with Star Trek, and if I don't like what I'm seeing, I'm still going to talk about it, because the people on that side who are going to call you racist if you disagree with them, they're just going to say, well, if you don't like it, switch off. It's like, well, that's not... It's easier said than done. But to kind of say, if you don't like it, don't watch it, I don't think that's particularly constructive, because I think people are going to just watch it habitually and hope that it gets better. When I was at my worst relationship with Star Trek, which was about midway through Discovery Season 1, when I was just kind of looking at it and going, what is this? What have they done with my Star Trek? I carried on watching it, and did it get better? A little bit. Season 2 wasn't it was pretty much on par with Season 1, but I kept on with it, because you never know when a show's going to turn the corner. I mean, Star Trek being a bit pants isn't exactly a new concept, is it? You know, TNG, when it started, was decried and there was outrage, and, you know, I saw an article online recently where the first reviews for the original series when it came out were lukewarm at best, so there's always been this kind of fractured, critical fan perception of the product anyway. To go back to the original comment, Star Trek is woke, soon to be broke. This whole woke, go woke, go broke. I don't understand where this comes from, particularly from Star Trek fans. Now, you could talk about other franchises, but I'm going to talk about Star Trek. My response to this person is, so, okay, where were you when Let That Be Your Last Battlefield aired? Which was a very on-the-nose episode about racial injustice and the dangers of fighting based on the colour of your skin. Where were you when the Outcast, TNG's Outcast episode dropped, which was a fairly clumsy attempt to tell the story of tell a transgender story or a non-binary story? Where were you when The Offspring, the episode where Data creates Lal, where were you when that episode dropped, where Data explicitly says he's going to let his own daughter let his own offspring essentially determine their gender? That episode dropped on March 12th, 1990. I was 2 months old. Star Trek being woke, quote-unquote woke, isn't exactly a new thing, is it? Where were you when Rejoined, Deep Space Nine's episode dropped, which was a very complicated story about two souls in different bodies coming together again? That episode dropped October 30th, 1995. Where were you a few months before when Past Tense, another Deep Space Nine episode dropped? That story telling a very powerful story about poverty and class discrimination. I mean, Deep Space Nine is super woke, if we're going to use the parlance for a second. The Visitor, dropping October 9th, 1995, told a very powerful story which, at the heart of it, was all about how it's okay for men to display emotions and to love their fathers. Where were you in 1998, February 9th, Far Beyond the Stars, which is probably the wokest, if we're again going to use that term, Far Beyond the Stars being the most powerful story Star Trek told at the time about racial discrimination. To say that Star Trek has gone woke and is therefore going to go broke, you know, this is Star Trek. Star Trek has always been like this. Star Trek has always been quote-unquote woke. So where have you been? Is there a reason to be dissatisfied with the creative direction of Star Trek and the people that are creating Star Trek shows nowadays? Yes, absolutely. Am I Alex Kurtzman's biggest fan? No, not really. I don't think he's actually very good at writing stuff, nor do I think Akiva Goldsman's very good at writing stuff. Let's remember for a second that Akiva Goldsman was the person who wrote Batman vs. Robin, so I don't trust his output one bit. The people that write Star Trek these days, they write episodes and they forget canon and they forget previous rules and they kind of drown out the science in feeling and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that stuff. However, you're kidding yourself if you don't think the internal exploration and thin allegory are new concepts to Star Trek, because they're not. They've been there forever. Is Star Trek perfect in 2022? No. Is it getting better? I personally think it is. Are you entitled to your opinion? Of course you are. Am I going to respond to your comments? No, not really. I mean, I'm responding to this one. I know I'm responding to this one. Am I going to get into a back and forth text conversation with you? No, absolutely not. I've got better things to do. I've got a baby to look after and enjoy. I want to go back to the same comment, and this is going to be my mic drop, if you want to call it that. But this comment again, I have never wasted a single dime on it. ... space LOL. I will have never wasted a single dime on it. Well, where I work, and in most places where people work, there's the expression that time is money. And I imagine, good sir, that this is probably not the first time you've left a comment like this. And if time is money, I imagine that you've probably spent a lot of your money telling everybody how much you don't like Star Trek and how woke it is and how they'll be broke soon. I have to wonder exactly what your bank balance is looking like right now.
I'll take a dime.
That will do it for this episode and this rant. Thank you so much for joining me. What are your thoughts on the current conversation around Star Trek, pop culture, society in general? I'd love to know. I'm not going to do these videos very often, to be completely honest with you, because they're not as fun as talking about Star Trek. I'll be back on Friday or Saturday with my latest Picard review, and yes, I'm working currently on something very fun, looking at Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which I cannot wait for. Stay happy, stay healthy, be kind to each other, and until next time, live long and prosper.